In Japan, Prime Minister Fumio Kishida says the country has reached a critical point as rescuers race to find survivors of the powerful earthquake that struck on New Year's Day. The death toll now has risen to 62. Dozens of people are believed to still be trapped under collapsed buildings. Heavy rain is forecast in the Ishikawa prefecture, where the quake hit. That has prompted fears of landslides, which could hamper the rescue efforts and cause further damage. DW correspondent James Chater is following the story for us on Japan's west coast, and he gave us this update.
Well, just to give you a sense of where we are right now, we're in Uchinada, which is about a couple of hours or so drive south of the worst affected areas, which is right up on the northern parts of the Noto Peninsula. I have to say, though, even here, the situation does feel a little bit tense. Just before we came on air, actually, there are about 30 or so fire trucks, kind of emergency vehicles, which pass closer to the coast where we are right now. So there is still an air of tension around this part of Japan. As we know, obviously the emergency work is ongoing. Officials are still trying to find people that are trapped beneath rubble and homes that have been destroyed. But yeah, it has to be said, there is concern about especially where the emergency response goes from here, because the weather really is deteriorating as well. You can probably see it starting to rain here as well. There's concern heavy rain this evening into the evening is going to make the emergency response even more difficult. So there is still concern that the death toll could rise further here.
Now, briefly, if you can, there have been reports of misinformation hampering relief efforts. What can you tell us?
Yeah, this has been something that's kind of a concerning development in the aftermath of this earthquake. It's something that Prime Minister Fumio Kishida mentioned in this press conference to the country, which is that there has been this spike of misinformation around this earthquake. And the main kind of narrative that's emerged in the aftermath of this quake was that the earthquake was in some way man-made. This is something that's been spreading quite proliferating on social media. Some of these posts reaching millions of people, and officials have essentially come out. We understand perhaps one of the first times they've made such a public comment on this type of misinformation in the aftermath of an earthquake, and saying that this type of misinformation could actually impede the response effort that are ongoing. So some of the images we've seen coming out from false images from the 2011 earthquake, which killed over 20,000 people in Japan. So officials warning that there could be a lot of concern and a lot of complication sowed in this moment where people are really trying to get accurate information as fast as possible.
PW's James Chater there in Uchinada in Japan. Thank you very much, James. Let's bring in Kit Miyamoto. He's a specialist on disaster response and reconstruction and is currently in Yamagata in northern Japan. Kit, we've reached the third critical day and are nearing the 72-hour mark. What would the focus of the rescue teams be at this point?
Well, right now, there's definitely a chance to able to find survivors underneath of those buildings, still 3 days. So, in many cases, you're going to find people even after a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So they're not going to give up till everybody's, identified from this earthquake, essentially.
Now,
that's the focus there.
There's also been rain has been, and heavy rain has been forecast for the region there. How will that hamper rescue efforts?
No, that's actually not good at all. For the two reasons. One is that those collapsed buildings, either wood construction or concrete construction, having the moisture or rain coming into it, that become actually unstabilized more. So that's actually the one huge issue. Second is that, as you saw, the many of the landslides happened after the earthquake, and which actually destroyed many of roads, and that's actually hampered all the trucks to have the food and the water to be able to get into the affected area. So that's actually a big deal. So yeah, this upcoming forecast rain and storm, that we can have some certain issues there.
Now, what do you reckon? Is Japan out of the danger zone with regard to this quake, or can we expect even bigger quakes in the following days?
Sure. There's always a possibility. The 2009 L'Aquila, Italy earthquake, The first earthquake, a smaller one, and second one actually killed 300 people. 2011, the Christchurch earthquake in New Zealand. The second earthquake in March was actually smaller, but it was epicenter closer to the population center, which killed actually more people. Well, the most people actually than first one. So it's definitely there's 100% probability of aftershocks. We just don't know exactly how big and when it is, but it's going to keep coming for probably next 6 months to a year. It's pretty active out there.
Now, Japan is a quake-prone nation. Can we say that the country has developed expertise to avoid high death toll and destruction? I mean, 62 is tragic, but it's still, for such a large quake, is not that much, is it?
Well, that is true. I mean, it's definitely amounting to 7.5 is a large earthquake, in a Turkey earthquake in beginning of last year, which killed almost 50,000 people. But also building types are different. In Japan, is most of the housings made of wood, so tend to actually be able to take the earthquake loading. One that's collapse you've seen here is an older housing construction. That's an issue. And also older concrete construction. Anything built prior to mid-1980s, those are actually really dangerous buildings there in Japan. Also, in a place like California or Turkey, pretty much throughout the world, actually. So, yeah, that's definitely an issue. But if it's any country is prepared for this kind of event, would it be Japan, actually? After all, Japan, we go through every 5 years. Every 5 years, so this major earthquake happens, and we get into the reconstruction mode.
Kit Mamut there in northern Japan. Thank you very much for sharing your expertise with us.
Thanks so much.